Alright, so for example 14, we're going to be programming this pocket in this block here. So if we look at our geometry, uh, we can see that this is a tangential line to these two arcs. So we don't know where this line meets this circle, and same for this one here. So what we're going to do is we're going to program this pocket, and I'll show you how we're going to do that uh, without knowing the dimensions of those points. So if we go ahead and go to our program here, we'll save as example 14, and then we already have our tool, but we'll go ahead and double check. So if you don't have your 3/4 inch end mill, go ahead and program that, and we'll go to our stock geometry, go to more, and it is a 6" by 3" by 1" block. Now I'm going to go to the program review screen, and I'm going to delete these blocks from my previous program. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on the end of program, so we have a new block. I want to go to milling, lines and arcs. And so in order to program this contour, since it's a pocket, what we're going to do is we need to start and end at the same point. And I'll explain that when we get to it. But we need to start and end at the same point, and we need to do it at a point that is known. So you may think that we could start here. However, this point is not at a quadrant, and this point isn't either. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a really easy defined point, and we'll pick this quadrant right here. And so this point is just going to be at a y of 1.5, and then for the x, we're just going to take the center of this arc and subtract the radius. And so this point is going to be at 0.5 inches in x. So let's start out 0.5 and 1.5. We'll z start at 50, and our depth is going to be 1/2 inch. We'll do tool 66. And for our milling type, let's just do left for right now. And for the enable blend moves, we'll turn that off. We'll put no. And we'll do a peck depth of 0.15 and a plunge of 5. And we'll go ahead and click on the finishing tab and throw tool 66 in there as well. The plunge of 5. So now we have our point. Let's go ahead and go to our next segment. So for this first segment, we're going to start out doing this arc. So we'll go ahead and click on arc, and we're going to be going counterclockwise. And so if we look at our arc here, it ends where this line intersects this arc tangentially. So this point is somewhere to the left of the quadrant, so it's somewhere over here. And we do not know any information about that point. We could do some trigonometry and figure out where that point is. However, we don't really need to know that. The software should be able to figure that out for us, as long as we give the program enough information. So we'll go ahead and skip our XY end because we don't know that point. But we do know the center of that arc is at 1 inch and 1.5. And it auto calculates 1/2 inch there. So I'm going to go ahead and just type it in again just so it's in there. Sweep angle, basically that is the number of degrees that the arc moves before it ends. So we'll just leave that blank because we don't know that either. So I'm going to go to my next segment, and now we're on to this line here, and I'm going to create a line. So for this line, we don't know anything about this line. You may think it ends at this quadrant, however it doesn't. It actually ends to the left of the quadrant. It ends over here. We don't know where that point is. So we're going to leave everything about this line blank. We really don't know anything about it. And we'll see if the software can figure out where that point needs to be. So for our next segment, we're going to do arc counterclockwise. So this is the larger arc on the right side of the part. So again, we don't know our XY end, so we'll leave those blank. However, we do know our center is at 4 inches and 1.5 inches. And we know our radius is 1 inch. So now we'll go to our next segment. And again, we're on to another line. We're on to this line. And again, we don't know anything about the line. So we'll just do a line skip putting any information in and go to the next segment. So now we'll finish up with our arc, and so this arc is going to be the remainder of this arc. So we'll end right where we started at the 1.5 in y and 0.5 in x. So we're going to change our arc to counterclockwise. Our x is 0.5, or y is 1.5. The center of our arc is 1 inch and 1.5 inches. And I'll go ahead and type our radius in at 1/2 inch. So you see, as soon as I finished putting the center point in, it auto-calculated some values. So if we go to previous segment, we can see where it says CAL, that is a calculated value. So these values have been auto-calculated by the software. So it has already figured out where that needs to be. So if we draw it, we can see it automatically figured out our points. However, if we look at this, we can see there's a boss in the middle of our part. So we need to remove that as well. And the way we need to do that is if we go back to our segment 0 of block 1, we can change our milling type from left to pocket boundary. And so with pocket boundary, as long as your geometry is contained, which means it starts and ends at the same point, you can use a pocket boundary. So like circles and frames, those are automatically contained geometries. So you can create any geometry in the world that you want, as long as it starts and ends at the same point. The pocket boundary will figure out what it needs to do. So after we've done pocket boundary, we need to change our milling type to outward. That way the end mill plunges in the middle and spirals outward. If we go inward, it's going to start on the outside and spiral inward. And when it gets near the middle, you'll be left with a little boss, kind of like this here. And as it's cutting it, typically it will actually tear at the bottom surface of your pocket. So we'll go ahead and do pocket outward. That's typically what I use for any pockets. Then we should be good to go. Let's draw it again. So we can see how it started in the middle and spiraled outward. And we can see our block is completely machined. And we should be good to go ahead and save this. So if we go to File Management, Save, that's it.